The name game. The name game is an opportunity for our competitive athletes within ZOAR Fitness to throw down, right? Compete. And that is one of the primary goals, is to work on the skill of competing, because it's a skill. And if you are an athlete who competes in a sport, it's important to do your sport, right? Coach Chris and I have talked about how it's very similar to like a scrimmage, right? If you are going, sparring in to go to like the boxing worlds, like every single day, is that a good thing? No. But should you do that sometimes? And do you need to do that in order to be prepared to go out in the ring? Yes. Again, it's a similar thing here where we're talking about if you're in the sport of CrossFit and you're trying to compete and be at your best, you need to practice the skills of competing. And with online qualifiers being as big as they are, that's a whole another avenue that we can go down. But it's really important that even in the comfort of your own gym, that you can optimize for a test in terms of the standards, how you're setting up for that, how you're preparing for that, your filming process, and we practice all those things in this name game session. So, to clarify, this is not an individualized session. This is a session that is, again, something that will be not necessarily exactly the same for every person, because we probably will pull out different scales, different loadings for different people, adjust things as we need to. But basically, we have something that's in the back that our coaches have, that we can then give to each of the athletes, and it is going to be essentially the same workout, again with the goal of the stimulus being the same for each person who does it. And that basically, again, it allows for one time throughout people's week, and typically it's not more than that. That is not individualized, and that is good in the fact that it allows you to compare to other people's scores. So we get comparative data, and we have, as all of our coaches, we see what our athletes get. We talk about strengths and weaknesses of different athletes and our community as a whole, like where we need to kind of drive things forward and where we're feel like we're doing okay. So yeah, it's not something that's individualized, but that's by design, and it's appropriate because, again, I think it's really easy for people in CrossFit to get sort of okay, I hired an individualized coach. However, they feel like if there's something isn't individualized that coach is giving them, then that's a bad thing. I think that's only reflective of, you need to understand that as a sport, the sport is the same for everyone, right? So in terms of like how you're actually going about attacking it, it's like football is football. It's not different if you're a linebacker versus a quarterback, right? It's the same rules, it's the same sport. How you go about attacking it might be different. And that's the same thing for us and our athletes. So again, in this one time throughout the week to have an opportunity to throw down, be at your best, and compare against other athletes and what they're able to do in the exact same test is a very important thing, because that's what you do when you go out, so to speak, onto the competitive landscape and you go to the open, or you go to quarterfinals, or you go to an in-person event with other high-level people there. You're trying to be the best that you can across a body of tests. Again, that is what we're optimizing for. Not to beat a dead horse, I just wanted to make sure we're clear. So that being said, I will leave in male and female calories. I will leave in male and female box heights. I will leave in sometimes different scaling options, because I want all the athletes to see what other people are being asked to do. And oftentimes, if you are getting scaled back, it's important that you know what the original workout was, because that's ultimately what you're trying to work towards. That being said, practically on the back end for us as coaches, I have a rough outline. Again, the name game itself is obviously going to be different every single week because it's a unique workout. However, there will be some sort of a rough outline that will change every 6 to 8 weeks on the back end of things, and then I coincide that with each of my individual design athletes' templates. So their skeleton for the week, their weekly outline. I know what Saturday is, and that way I can make sure we're not hitting the same priorities that we hit on Saturday earlier in the week. So for example, this current cycle that we're going through with each of these name game sessions, if you're doing the full name game session, not just the name game itself, is rope skills. So like in this case, it's often like crossover double unders, things along those lines. That's first, then jerk and snatch work, then the name game workout itself. Then we have some legless rope climb work with a grip kind of finisher to that, and then an erg based finisher. So basically, threshold type intervals or above. And that's all the priorities that I know are on the back end. And again, that way I make sure that if athletes are training on Friday, that they're not hitting those same priorities, and that we're able to sort of sandwich other things in there to make sure that we're getting the most productive training in the week, and that we're not hitting the same things on back-to-back training days. So that is the name game session. That is why we do it, and that is why you should join it as well. Again, I got a link to it below, but we have a web page where every single previous workout we've ever done for the name game has been on there. So I encourage you to follow along, even if you're not one of our athletes. But that is the name game session.